Aaron lived in a quiet human colony on the far edge of Earth's space. Life here was slow, simple, and mostly the same each day. He worked in a small workshop where he repaired farming machines. The town was not large, and everyone knew each other. People here lived under the wide blue sky, with little thought of the greater galaxy. Aaron often wondered if this was all life would be. Sometimes at night, he looked at the stars and thought about the rumors of alien civilizations. He had never seen one with his own eyes. To him, aliens were only news stories or faraway tales. He never imagined they would come to his town, much less change his life forever. One morning, everything changed. Strange ships appeared in the sky, unlike anything humans had built. Their surface shone like polished crystal, glowing faintly as they moved. The colony panicked at first, but the ships did not attack. They landed gently outside the town, and tall alien figures stepped out. The aliens were elegant, their skin pale with soft patterns glowing faintly, and their eyes bright like stars. They wore long robes that shimmered as they walked. Their presence felt both peaceful and powerful, as if they carried ages of wisdom with them. The leader of the aliens stood before the gathered humans. His voice was calm, yet it carried across the square without need of machines. "We come with no war," he said. "We come with peace. Our empire seeks unity with humanity. To prove this bond, our princess will take one human as her husband." The crowd gasped. No one had expected this. People whispered in fear and surprise. Why marriage? Why not trade, or science, or a treaty signed with leaders? The aliens seemed certain of their request. The human governor asked the question all wanted to know, "And who will this human be?" The alien leader lifted a small crystal tablet. "One will be chosen by chance. No ruler, no soldier, no great name. The stars favor destiny, not power." Everyone waited as the crystal glowed. Then the name appeared. Aaron. He felt the ground drop beneath his feet. His hands turned cold, and the eyes of the whole colony turned toward him. Him. A simple worker, not a leader, not even a soldier? Why would fate or the aliens choose him? The alien leader bowed to him. "The stars have spoken. You will be husband to Princess Nira, heir to the empire of Silura. You must come with us at once." Aaron's mother wept, proud and afraid at the same time. His friends stared in shock. Some whispered that this was an honor, others feared it was a trap. Aaron himself could not find words. He had never thought of marriage this way, and now they expected him to leave his world, his people, and his life behind to marry a stranger. Not even a human stranger, but an alien princess he had never seen. That night, Aaron sat alone, looking at the sky. He thought about refusing, but the weight of his people's eyes pressed on him. The colony needed peace with the aliens. If he refused, it might anger them. And deep inside, a small spark of curiosity flickered. Who was this princess? Why had destiny pointed to him, of all people? By morning, his choice was made. He would go. The farewell was quiet and heavy. The alien ship waited at the edge of town, tall and shining, its surface like liquid glass. Aaron hugged his mother one last time. She whispered, "Be brave, my son. Maybe this is the path meant for you." With heavy steps, he walked toward the ship. The alien guards opened the way, their tall figures silent and watchful. Inside, the ship glowed with soft light, smooth walls with no seams, no buttons, no machines he could understand. It felt alive, as if the ship itself breathed. The leader guided him to a chamber. "Rest here. Soon we travel to our world. Soon you will meet your bride." Aaron sat on the strange seat, his heart pounding. He tried to imagine the princess. Was she tall like these envoys? Was she strange, frightening, or gentle? Would she even accept him, a simple human worker? Through the window, he watched his world grow smaller as the ship lifted into the sky. The colony shrank, then the Earth itself became a blue sphere floating in darkness. He had always dreamed of the stars, but never like this. He was not a traveler, not an explorer, not a hero. He was just Aaron, and yet, now he was bound for the palace of an alien empire. The thought filled him with fear, but also wonder. His life as he knew it was gone. Ahead waited a marriage to a princess he had never seen, in a world far stranger than his own. And deep inside, he felt that nothing would ever be the same again. Aaron's journey through space felt like a dream he could not wake from. The alien ship moved without sound, gliding through the stars faster than he thought possible. He saw no engines, no fire, no shaking. The vessel was smooth, silent, and alive with soft lights that shifted like flowing water. Days passed in quiet. The aliens gave him food, strange fruits that glowed faintly, bread that tasted sweet and soft, and clear water that seemed richer than any he had drunk before. They treated him with respect, but few words. Their language was complex, and though they spoke some human tongue, they often chose silence. Aaron spent long hours staring through the great window. Planets, moons, and stars passed in endless beauty. Each sight reminded him how far he was from home. He wondered what his people were saying about him now. Was he seen as a hero or as a man stolen by strangers? At last, the ship slowed. The captain came to him and said, "We have reached Silura, the heart of our empire. Soon you will see your bride." Aaron's chest tightened. He nodded, though his hands trembled. The ship descended through golden clouds, and Aaron saw the alien world below. It was unlike anything he had imagined. Vast crystal towers rose into the sky, their surfaces catching the light and scattering it in colors he had no names for. Bridges of silver stone linked the towers, and rivers of shining water cut through wide valleys. The sky itself seemed alive, glowing softly as if the world breathed light. Aaron whispered, "Beautiful." When the ship landed, he was led into the capital city. The streets were broad, filled with alien citizens who stopped to stare at him. Their eyes glowed faintly, their steps graceful, their clothes flowing like liquid silk. Some looked curious, others cold. Whispers followed him everywhere. He felt the weight of their gaze, a stranger in their great empire. At the center of the city stood the palace. It was not made of stone but of living crystal, glowing softly with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Tall spires reached toward the sky, and wide gates opened as he approached. Inside, the air was cool, filled with the scent of unknown flowers. Music drifted faintly, not from instruments but from the walls themselves. He was led through long halls lined with alien symbols and statues of past rulers. Each figure was tall, noble, and stern. At last, he entered the throne room. The king and queen of Silura sat upon high seats of shining silver. They looked down at him with calm eyes, their faces unreadable. The king spoke first. His voice was deep, strong, and filled with age. "You are Aaron of Earth. By fate, you are chosen to be husband to our daughter. Know this, our ways are not your ways. You must learn respect, patience, and courage. Do you accept this burden?" Aaron bowed his head. "I accept. Though I do not fully understand, I will try to honor her and your people." The queen's eyes softened, though only slightly. "You speak with honesty. That is a good beginning." Then, from behind a veil of silver cloth, the princess entered. She was hidden, her face covered as tradition required. Her steps were light, her form graceful, her presence strong. The hall fell silent as she walked past the throne and stood beside her parents. "This is Princess Nira," the queen said. "By our custom, no outsider may see her face before the wedding night. Her veil will remain until then." Aaron's heart pounded. He bowed slightly, unsure of what else to do. The princess did not speak, but she turned her head slightly toward him. He thought, though he could not be sure, that her eyes studied him through the veil. The court watched closely, as if waiting for him to make a mistake. He felt small under their gaze, but he stood tall, trying to show he would not break. The king raised his hand. "The wedding shall be in 3 days. Until then, you will remain in the palace, learn our customs, and prepare." Aaron was taken to a chamber prepared for him. It was vast, filled with cushions, flowing curtains, and a window that looked over the shining city. Servants brought him food, clothes, and even books filled with the alien language. That night, as he lay awake, he thought of the princess. Who was she truly? Was she kind? Was she forced into this marriage, as he was? Or did she believe in the strange prophecy the aliens had spoken of? He also wondered about the whispers he heard in the halls. Not everyone seemed pleased about this marriage. Some looked at him with doubt, others with hidden anger. Perhaps they did not want a human in their royal line. The more he thought about it, the heavier the burden felt. Yet, deep inside, curiosity grew stronger. Somewhere behind that silver veil was the princess he was to marry. And though he feared what awaited him, he also longed to know the truth. For the first time in his life, Aaron felt that destiny had pulled him into something far greater than himself. The days before the wedding passed quickly for Aaron. Servants guided him through the palace, teaching him small pieces of Silura custom. He learned how to bow before elders, how to touch the crystal symbols during greetings, and how to speak a few phrases in their tongue. The words felt heavy on his tongue, but he tried his best. Every mistake made the servants laugh softly, though not unkindly. Still, Aaron felt like a guest who did not belong. Everywhere he walked, eyes followed him. Some looked curious, others cold, and a few seemed openly angry. He overheard whispers. Why him? A human? What do the stars see in him? The weight of doubt pressed hard on his shoulders. On the morning of the wedding, the city awoke in celebration. Bells made of crystal rang across the capital, sending shimmering tones into the sky. Bright banners hung from the towers, glowing softly with strange light. Crowds filled the streets, waiting to see the union between their princess and the strange human. Aaron was dressed in ceremonial robes of silver and blue. The fabric shone in the light, though he felt awkward inside it. The garments were heavy, with wide sleeves and a band across his chest holding a crystal stone that pulsed faintly. He touched it nervously, wondering what power it held. 2 tall guards escorted him through the long hallways. At last, he reached the great ceremonial chamber. The place was vast, with a high ceiling of glass that opened to the sky. Rays of golden light poured down, making the crystal floor glow. Thousands of citizens filled the chamber, seated in circles that rose higher and higher like waves. At the center was the wedding altar. It was a great stone carved with patterns of stars and flowing rivers. At its peak stood the royal family. The king and queen wore robes woven with threads of light, their crowns glowing faintly. Between them stood Princess Nira, her veil still hiding her face. Aaron's steps echoed as he walked forward. The crowd grew silent. His heart pounded so loudly he thought all must hear it. He stopped at the altar, facing the king, queen, and veiled princess. The high priest, an elder with skin like carved stone, raised his hands. His voice filled the chamber without need for instruments. Today we join 2 worlds. Today, the line of Silura binds itself to the people of Earth. By the will of the stars, one chosen man joins with our princess. May their bond bring balance. The crowd repeated his last words in a soft chant, a sound like waves moving across the sea. The priest placed a crystal bowl between Aaron and Nira. Inside the bowl was water glowing with faint light. Step forward, he said. Aaron and the princess moved closer. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at her, still hidden, still mysterious. She lifted her hand, pale and delicate, and placed it above the water. The priest signaled to him, and he slowly did the same. Their fingers almost touched, separated only by the glowing liquid. When their hands hovered over the bowl, the water shone brighter. Light rose upward, wrapping around their arms like threads of silver. The crowd gasped. "The bond accepts them," the priest declared. "Now they must speak their vow." Princess Nira spoke first. Her voice was calm and steady, though it carried power. "By the stars, I take this human as my partner. I will walk beside him, through storm and peace, until the end of my path." Then the priest nodded at Aaron. He swallowed, his mouth dry. Every eye was upon him. Slowly, he said, "I am Aaron of Earth. I do not know the ways of your people, but I promise to stand with her, to protect her, and to honor her name." The light around them flared brighter, rising high into the chamber. The crowd let out a sound of awe, as if they had seen proof of destiny itself. The priest raised his hands once more. "The vow is made. The marriage is complete. May the stars guide them both." The chamber filled with cheers, though Aaron could hear whispers hidden among the voices. Some cheered with true joy, but others spoke doubt. He felt it deep in his chest. Not all wanted this marriage. The ceremony ended with a long procession. Aaron and the princess walked side by side down the crystal steps, past lines of nobles and citizens. Flowers of light fell from above, raining gently like stars. Aaron glanced at the princess. Though her face was hidden, he thought he saw her shoulders relax, as if she too carried a heavy weight. At the end of the hall, the king placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. "From this day, you are bound to our house. Remember, your actions will not only shape your life but the future of two worlds." Aaron bowed. "I understand." That night, when the celebration ended, he was led to the royal chambers. His heart beat faster with every step. The wedding was done, but the mystery remained. Soon, the veil would be lifted. Soon, he would finally see the princess he had sworn to stand beside. For the first time, Aaron truly felt the meaning of the priest's words. He was no longer only a man of earth. He was now part of something far greater, a bond between two worlds, sealed under the watch of countless stars. And yet, deep inside, one question still burned within him: what secret waited behind the veil? The palace grew quiet after the long day of celebration. The halls that had been filled with music and voices now stood silent, their crystal walls glowing softly in the night. Aaron was guided by two guards through corridors he had never seen before. Each step echoed, and with each step his heart beat faster. At the end of the hall stood a tall silver door. The guards stopped before it. One of them spoke in a firm but calm voice, "Here begins your life as husband to the princess. Only you may enter." Aaron nodded, though his throat was dry. His hands shook slightly as he reached for the door. When it opened, he stepped into a large chamber unlike any he had seen. The room was filled with soft light from floating crystals. Curtains of silver silk hung from the ceiling, swaying gently as if moved by a breeze he could not feel. A wide balcony opened to the alien sky, where stars shone brighter than on Earth. The air smelled faintly of flowers he could not name. At the center of the room stood Princess Nira. She still wore her veil, her figure tall and graceful, her posture calm but unreadable. For a long moment, neither spoke. Aaron's thoughts ran in circles. Should he bow? Should he speak first? What words could he possibly use on such a night? Finally, Nira broke the silence. Her voice was soft, yet carried a strength that made his chest steady. "So, you are the man the stars chose." Aaron swallowed and nodded. "Yes, though I do not know why it was me." She tilted her head slightly. "Neither do I." Then she stepped closer. "But the vow has been made. The bond has begun. Tonight, the veil is lifted." Aaron's breath caught. This was the moment. The mystery that had followed him from Earth, the secret that everyone whispered about, was about to be revealed. Nira raised her hands and slowly pulled the veil away. The cloth slipped down, revealing her face at last. Aaron's eyes widened. She was not the monstrous figure his fear had imagined, nor the cold mask of royalty he expected. She was, almost human. Her skin was pale but carried soft glowing markings that curved like starlight across her cheeks. Her eyes were large, shining with a golden light, as if tiny suns lived within them. Her hair was dark and long, flowing like liquid shadow over her shoulders. She looked both familiar and strange alien, yet close enough to human that his heart felt no fear, only wonder. You're beautiful," Aaron whispered without thinking. Nira blinked in surprise. For the first time, her stern mask softened into something gentler. "No one has spoken to me so simply before," she said. "Not even my own people." Aaron realized then that though she was a princess, she too carried burdens. Perhaps she was as trapped by this marriage as he was. She stepped closer, her golden eyes meeting his. "You should know the truth. Our people and yours are not as different as you think. Long ago, our ancestors and humans shared the same origin. But time, stars, and worlds shaped us in different ways. That is why I look as I do." Aaron listened, his mind racing. Could it be true? That humans and Silurians were distant kin? Nira continued, her tone steady. "But there is more. The marriage was not only for peace. It is part of a prophecy, one older than even my family's rule. It says that only when a bond is made between Silura and Earth, the balance of our world can be saved. Without it, the energy that feeds our land will die." Aaron felt the weight of her words press on him. He had thought this marriage was only for politics. But now it sounded like something greater, something that touched the fate of an entire empire. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "I am no hero, no leader. I am just a worker from a small colony." "The stars do not choose heroes," Nira answered. "They choose hearts. Perhaps there is strength in you not yet seen." Silence filled the chamber for a moment. The stars outside shone brightly, as if listening. Aaron looked at her again. She was not just a mysterious princess, not just a duty he must carry. She was a person, caught between tradition and destiny, just as lost and uncertain as he was. Slowly, he spoke, his voice steady. "If this bond is truly needed, then I will do my part. Not only because of duty, but because I want to understand you, and your people." Nira studied him for a long time, then gave the smallest nod. Perhaps the stars chose well after all. For the first time, Aaron saw her smile, faint but real. And in that moment, the weight of fear lifted slightly from his heart. He knew challenges still waited. He knew whispers in the palace still spoke against him. But now, standing in the chamber of stars, looking into the golden eyes of Princess Nira, Aaron felt something new, hope. The night that began with fear ended with revelation. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Aaron no longer felt alone. Days passed in the palace after the wedding night, and Aaron slowly began to learn the life of the Siluran court. The bond with Princess Nira grew warmer each day. Though they still spoke carefully, as if testing each other's hearts, a quiet trust began to form between them. Nira showed him the palace gardens, where trees grew with glowing leaves and flowers that sang softly when touched by the wind. She took him to the crystal archives, where records of their people stretched back thousands of years. Aaron listened with wonder, trying to understand the greatness of her empire. But not all welcomed him. Wherever he walked, he felt eyes on him. Some nobles bowed politely, but their gazes were cold. Others whispered openly. "He is weak. He does not belong. How can a human stand beside our princess?" Aaron tried to ignore the voices, but they clung to him like shadows. One evening, as he sat with Nira in the balcony chamber, she spoke softly, her golden eyes serious. "You must be careful, Aaron. Many in the court do not wish for this marriage. They see you as a threat to their power. Already there are whispers of plots. Aaron frowned. Plots? You mean, against me? Against both of us, she said. There are nobles who believe our empire should never mix with humans. They fear what you represent. And they fear the prophecy most of all. Aaron's chest grew heavy. He had expected doubt, but the thought of danger was harder to carry. What should I do? Stay close to me, Neera said firmly. And trust no one outside these walls. That night, Aaron lay awake, thinking of her words. Was he truly strong enough to stand in this world? Back on Earth, he had been nothing more than a worker, fixing machines and living a quiet life. Now, his very presence caused fear and anger in the hearts of powerful nobles. The answer came sooner than he expected. 2 nights later, while walking through a quiet hallway on his way back from the gardens, Aaron heard a faint sound like metal sliding. He turned quickly, and in the shadows, figures moved. They were cloaked, their faces hidden, but the glint of blades shone faintly in the crystal light. Assassins. Aaron's breath froze. He had no weapon, no guard at his side. The assassins moved swiftly, blocking the hall. One raised a hand and spoke in a cold voice, "The human does not belong. Tonight, the bond ends." Fear struck Aaron, but another force rose inside him: instinct. His mind worked quickly, as it always had when repairing machines. He glanced around the hall. The walls were lined with glowing crystal lanterns, each held by tall stands. The assassin stepped closer. Aaron grabbed the nearest stand and pulled it down hard. The crystal shattered, releasing a burst of light so bright it blinded the attackers for a moment. Aaron ran, his heart pounding, but the assassins followed. He turned corners, searching for a way out. He remembered the palace paths Neera had shown him and led them toward the garden halls. When he reached the garden, he grabbed a branch from one of the tall glowing trees. Though not sharp, it was strong enough to use as a staff. The assassins rushed at him. Aaron swung the branch with all his strength, striking the first attacker across the chest. The figure stumbled, surprised by his resistance. The others closed in, but before they could strike, voices shouted. Guards stormed into the garden, weapons glowing with energy. The assassins turned to fight, but the guards were trained and quick. In moments, the attackers were captured, their cloaks torn away to reveal noble symbols hidden on their arms. Neera arrived soon after, her face pale but her eyes burning with anger. She looked at Aaron, standing with the broken branch in his hands. Are you hurt? He shook his head, though his arms trembled. No. But they tried to kill me. The guards bowed before Neera. Princess, these men are from noble houses. This attack was planned. Neera's voice was cold and sharp. Take them to the dungeons. They will answer for this. When the guards left, she turned back to Aaron. You see now the danger I spoke of. They will not stop easily. But you stood your ground. You fought when others would have fallen. Aaron lowered the branch, breathing hard. I only acted because I had no choice. Neera stepped closer, her eyes softer now. Sometimes, courage is not about choice. It is about what you do when there is no time to think. Tonight, you proved you are stronger than they believe. Her words struck deep in Aaron's heart. For the first time since arriving in Silura, he felt that perhaps he was not only a burden, but someone who could stand beside her. Still, he knew this was only the beginning. The court's whispers had turned into open blades. And if he wanted to survive in this empire and protect Neera, he would have to find strength he never knew he had. As he looked out at the glowing city beyond the garden, Aaron clenched his fists. He had not asked for this fate, but it was his now. And he would not let fear or shadowed nobles decide his path. The palace was tense the following days. Though the assassins had been captured, the whispers and plots within the court continued. Aaron and Nero moved cautiously through the halls, aware that danger could strike at any moment. But outside, the world itself seemed to rebel. Strange storms began to sweep across Silura. The rivers of glowing water overflowed, and the skies turned a deep violet, streaked with flashes of energy. Citizens watched in fear as winds bent the crystal towers, and the normally calm lights of the city flickered and dimmed. "This is not ordinary weather," Nira said, her voice steady but serious. "It is the energy of the Empire reacting. The prophecy spoke of a time when the balance would falter, and only a human bond could restore it." Aaron listened, feeling the weight of her words. He had survived one attack, but now it seemed the challenge was greater. The Empire itself was in danger, and the prophecy placed the responsibility on him and Nira together. They went to the central chamber of the palace, where the royal crystal, the heart of Silura's energy, pulsed weakly. Normally, it shone with brilliant light, but now it flickered like a candle in the wind. Nira placed her hand on the crystal, feeling its pulse. "The bond must be made stronger," she said. "We must perform the ritual together. Only with your human heart and my Siluran energy can the Empire survive." Aaron nodded, though doubt tugged at him. He had never imagined such power, nor that he could be part of it. But looking at Nira, he saw determination and trust. That gave him courage. The ritual began. Nira and Aaron placed their hands on the crystal together. The soft glow of energy surrounded their arms, reaching up to their shoulders. The light seemed to respond to their feelings, growing brighter when they focused on unity, dimming when fear or doubt crept in. "Focus on the bond between us," Nira whispered. "Think of the promise you made." Aaron closed his eyes and remembered the night he first saw her face, the words of the vow they had exchanged. He thought of the long journey from Earth, the palace, the threats, and the moments of courage. Slowly, his heart steadied, and the light around them grew stronger. But outside, chaos was building. The jealous nobles, seeing the storm and sensing weakness, decided to act. They gathered a small group of guards and tried to storm the chamber, believing that if Aaron was removed, the ritual would fail. Nira sensed the movement. "They are coming," she said. "You must stay strong. We cannot let them interrupt us." Aaron opened his eyes and stepped slightly in front of Nira. Though unarmed, his presence alone made him seem braver. The nobles entered, their energy blades ready. But Aaron acted quickly, using the crystal stands and flowing curtains as barriers. His human instinct and quick thinking confused them, giving Nira the chance to channel her energy more freely. The light from the ritual flared, brighter than the chamber had ever seen. The nobles tried to strike, but the energy formed a protective barrier around Aaron and Nira, pushing them back gently but firmly. It was as if the crystal itself had chosen them. Within moments, the nobles realized they could not win. They lowered their weapons and fled, knowing the bond was stronger than their schemes. Aaron and Nira continued the ritual, hands on the crystal, hearts focused on unity and trust. Slowly, the storm outside began to calm. The rivers returned to their proper flow, the wind softened, and the sky glowed with the gentle light of Silura's stars. When the ritual ended, the crystal shone brighter than ever before. The energy of the Empire was restored, stable and radiant. Citizens looked from their windows in awe, feeling the shift in power and safety. Nira turned to Aaron, her golden eyes warm. "We did it," she said softly. "Together." Aaron smiled, exhausted but filled with a sense of pride he had never known. "I never thought I could do this. Or that we could." "You are not just a human from Earth," Nira said. "You are part of this world now. You help save it. That is what courage looks like." For the first time, Aaron felt that he belonged not just to Nira, but to Silura itself. The prophecy had tested them, but together they had succeeded. The Empire had survived, stronger than before, and the bond between human and Siluran had proven its worth. Outside, the sky returned to calm beauty, the stars shining brighter than ever. The Empire's people whispered of courage, destiny, and unity. And within the palace, Aaron and Nero looked at each other, knowing that their journey was only beginning but that together, they could face whatever the stars might bring next. The storms had passed, and the Empire of Silura slowly returned to calm. Citizens walked the crystal streets with cautious smiles, watching the towers glow brightly once more. News of the restored energy and the successful ritual spread quickly. Many whispered about the human who had stood beside the princess, proving that courage and heart could surpass fear and doubt. Aaron walked beside Nira on the palace balcony, looking out over the city. The rivers of glowing water sparkled under the soft light of Silura's stars. He felt a peace he had never known, yet he knew the journey that had brought him here was only the beginning. Nira's hand rested gently on his. "You have changed many hearts," she said softly. "Not only by standing against the nobles, but by showing that humans can be brave, clever, and strong in ways we sometimes forget." Aaron shook his head, smiling faintly. "I only did what I had to do. You taught me how to believe in myself, and in us." For the first time, Nira smiled fully, her golden eyes warm and bright. The veil that had hidden her face for so long was gone, and she carried herself with a confidence born not just of royalty, but of trust and understanding. The palace halls echoed with celebration. Nobles who had once opposed him now bowed respectfully. Citizens cheered in the streets, greeting Aaron with smiles, some even curious to hear the story of the human who helped save their empire. Even the king approached him. "Aaron of Earth," he said, his voice filled with approval, "you have proven that courage is not limited by birth or origin. You have honored our family and our empire." Aaron bowed, feeling a strange mix of pride and humility. "I only followed the path before me," he said. The queen nodded. "Sometimes, that is all a hero needs to do. Follow the path and trust the bond that guides them." That night, Aaron and Nero walked together through the palace gardens. The glowing flowers bent toward them, as if welcoming the harmony between human and Siluran. The air was calm, the stars shining brighter than he had ever seen. "Do you remember the night you first saw me?" Nira asked, her voice soft. Aaron smiled. "How could I forget? I was scared, confused, and completely stunned." Nero laughed lightly. "And now? Now, I feel at home. With you. With this world," he replied. They stopped near a pool of softly glowing water. The reflection of the stars shimmered on its surface. Aaron reached out and took her hand in both of his. He realized that this was no longer a duty or a prophecy, this was real. He had found friendship, trust, and even love with the princess. "The people will remember this day," Nira said. "Not just the ritual, but what it means that two worlds can unite, that courage can cross the stars." Aaron nodded. "And maybe, the human people will see that they are capable of more than they ever believed. That even a simple worker can make a difference." For the first time, he felt the weight of his journey lift completely. He had started as a man unsure of his place in the universe, and now he was someone who had shaped the fate of a world far larger than Earth. In the weeks that followed, Aaron worked alongside Nira to help guide the Empire into a new era. He learned more about the Siluran culture, shared ideas from his own world, and slowly gained the respect of nobles who had once doubted him. Citizens visited the palace to hear the stories of his courage, and children began to dream of becoming like him, humans who could stand proudly among the stars. But more than politics or respect, Aaron cherished the quiet moments with Nira. Together, they explored hidden gardens, walked under the glowing sky, and spoke of dreams and hopes. The bond that had begun as duty had grown into something deeper, a true partnership built on trust, courage, and understanding. One morning, standing on the palace balcony as sunlight reflected off the crystal towers, Aaron turned to Nira. "We've done so much already," he said. But I feel like this is only the beginning. Nira smiled, placing her hand gently on his. It is. There will always be challenges, but together, we can face whatever the stars may bring. Aaron nodded. He no longer felt fear, only determination and hope. He had crossed galaxies, faced danger, and embraced destiny. Now, he knew that humanity, his own people, had potential beyond imagination. As the twin suns of Silura rose higher in the sky, Aaron and Nira stood side by side, looking out over the city and the world they had saved together. A new dawn had arrived, not just for the Empire, but for the bond between humans and Silurans. And in that light, Aaron felt certain of one truth: courage, heart, and trust could reach across the stars and change the universe forever. The human who had once been a simple worker was now part of something greater than he had ever dreamed. And for the first time in his life, Aaron felt completely, undeniably, at home. 7.